Hi guys, it's Checkacola Matt, and today I'll be talking about my Korean adventure or my transition from Canada to Korea and how it was. So basically, I went to university for 5 years. I got a degree in chemical engineering. I have the ring from Canada, but it's in my suitcase. And then after I graduated, I felt like traveling around the world and seeing a new culture. So I looked into many countries and I chose Korea because getting a job in Korea was easy with a degree and maybe speaking English, so I chose Korea. There are other countries, but they were a little harder and more competitive, and the cultures maybe were similar to Western culture. So Korea is totally different. Korea, Japan, China, totally different culture. So it took me about maybe 1 or 2 months to find a job and come to Korea. When I moved to Korea, I moved to a very small town in the northern part of Korea. It was very small, no Western commodities, nothing. No one spoke English, or if they did speak English, it was very poor or broken. But anyways, after a couple months, I moved to a different job, I moved to a bigger center, and it was actually pretty good after that. One of the biggest things about moving to Korea was the language. In Korea they use a language, Korean, but the alphabet is written in Hangul or Hanja. Hanja is the Chinese letters, which many people don't use anymore, but Hangul is the letters that they use currently. And here I can show you. Here's a milk jug. 우리 우유. 원동 국신선한 국산 원우. That's your milk jug. 우리 우유. So this is probably the hardest part about Korea to start out with. It was learning how to read Hangul. Once you can read Hangul, actually living in Korea is very easy. Also, you can see down here, lots of Korean packaging has some English, so you can get a little bit of a heads up on what's in the package. So like natural, 100% fresh milk, K-milk. And it's the same as like in England or in Canada or Germany. You know, they got the milliliter, the calorie, everything, maybe basic standard. Again, and on the side, fresh milk, cold chain system. So the hardest part about Korea to begin off was learning how to read Hangul. After that, so once you're settled into your house and you learned Hangul, next I'd say it's maybe the subway, taxis, and buses. The subway in Korea is very easy to use, very simple. You got T-money card. So T-money card. Let's see. T-money card. You can use this for buses, taxis, train, and gifts at convenience stores. So you got your T-money card. You scan your T-money card and you get to ride the subway. And you can ride the subway to Seoul, and the subway actually goes quite a bit south, north, east, and west of the city too. So the Seoul subway system is very huge and expansive, but it's mostly in English, Korean, and Japanese, and Chinese. So actually you don't really need to learn Hangul or Korean to use the subway, but it helps because sometimes they give messages like you transfer here to go to line 4, you transfer here to go to line 3. Sometimes they'll be in English, but sometimes they won't be in English, and the English and Korean name will be sort of a little different. Like Hanuk and Hongdae, they'll switch the names a bit. Same station, but they'll switch the names. So after that, learning Hangul, the subway, and then the buses, they're a totally different story. Sometimes the buses will actually skip stops, or the bus driver will just speed through red stoplights, he doesn't feel like going his route today, he'll go the other way. The buses are crazy. Same with taxi drivers sometimes. Sometimes you get a good taxi driver, he'll be calm and he'll be talkative and he'll be, hey, how's it going? Other times you get taxi drivers that are little angry or, drive so fast, don't listen to the rules of the traffic. I've been in a couple taxis where, they just run red lights, they don't even look, which feels kind of dangerous. If you're in the taxi, it is actually kind of scary because you can get in accidents, and I've known people who've gotten in accidents in taxis. So after you get down Hangul, the transportation, really then it's like branching out, you know, doing your hobbies. Like if you like hiking, in Korea there's lots of hiking and lots of trails. Actually, when I first came here, I hiked a lot. So in northern Seoul, there's actually a big mountain, and then you go south a bit, there's a whole bunch of mountains. Actually, the Korean Peninsula has tons of mountains and hiking trails. It's really cool because they have little parks with these, maybe, well, I don't know what they're called, they're like little statues, and you can sit in there, and it's fun. But then after a while, you know, you go hiking only so often, you know, when it rains, when it's cold, you gotta then learn to like do something else. Like in Korea there's lots of noraebangs, which are basically singing rooms, and there's lots of PC bangs, which are computer gaming rooms. Usually these are very cheap, and you can stay in there a long time. PC bangs, not really my style, as are noraebangs. I actually bought a PlayStation in Korea, PlayStation 3, no 4. I play my PlayStation usually when it rains or when I have nothing to do, you know, play the PlayStation. Other than that, you know, you can walk around, actually go to like maybe a coffee shop, or just even walk down the street. That's what's good about going to a new country, seeing a new culture. Every street has new things. So that's another thing about branching out. Once you got your transportation and the language, you can walk down any street. And, you know, you'll see new things, you'll see new foods, and just you can try whatever you want. Like you can go into a restaurant, you see a food you want to try, you can read it, the Hangul, they'll get it for you, you can eat it. If it's good, you know, you can come back there, get it the next day. If it's not good, you know, you can try a new food, a new restaurant. So that's another thing about Korea. Lots of restaurants, lots of services, lots of delivery, lots of things here. Actually, like McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, Domino's, all those American brands, they actually deliver to your house here. So if you want McDonald's, you know, you can just dial them up and say, yeah, I want a Big Mac meal. And then, okay, $5, hang up the phone, they'll come maybe 20, 30 minutes later, they'll bring your Big Mac meal. You never have to leave your door. So that's pretty good. But I usually try and eat maybe more Korean food. And all the Korean food places they deliver to mostly, except for the really expensive ones or the ones that are like mom and pop shops. But if they're branches, they'll deliver. And sometimes even you can get like beer at Western restaurants here, maybe similar to Europe. Like KFC sells beer, and some McDonald's sell beer, but it's kind of hard to find. I heard Burger King might sell beer, but maybe soon. But yeah, KFC sells Cloud beer, which is a Korean house brand beer. It's so-so, but it's kind of cool to be like, you know, go to KFC and then buy a beer. It's pretty cool. In Canada you couldn't do that. And the supermarkets here, so the supermarkets, they're basically maybe almost similar to Canadian and American supermarkets. You know, you got your food, your dry food, your dairy, your meat, your electronics, your toys. But usually, I'd say, for Western products, in the big main supermarkets, there's maybe little to like no Western products. You'll get the Korean product, and it'll be everything in Korean. Actually, so like this milk, usually it'll be like this. So you'll buy like, you'll buy a cereal, just say wheat cereal, and then they'll have the brand all in Korean, but it'll have some English so you can get a sense of what it is. But again, the supermarkets, similar to Canada, USA, but they have some pretty cool products. The toys and electronics, you can find some pretty interesting toys and electronics here. But that's maybe for another time. You can find some very interesting toys. And the electronics too, I'd say the curved TVs, maybe way more expensive TVs than you see in Canada or the USA. They just have them around here. And people will usually follow you in those parts of the store. You go to like a supermarket and there's an electronics section, usually some guy will follow you around to make sure you don't break nothing, or if you have any questions. So you got transportation, exploring, branching out, learning Hangul. After that, you know, it's just like living your life, you know, waking up, going to work, coming home, enjoying the weekend, enjoying your family time. So basically, after you've lived here for a while, Korea just seems maybe similar to Canada, but it's not the same. like the living situation similar, but it's not the same. You know, you have a comfortable life, you live here, you go to work, you come home, you play with your friends, your family, you go to sleep, repeat weekends, you can do your hobbies. But it gets similar to like Canada. It's not really hard after a while. And the culture, you know, you can get into it after you learn Hangul and you learn some Korean. You can talk with the people and see what it's all about. So let's see what else we talked about. It's very interesting. It's really hard to talk about so many things in one video. Talk about the parks. Maybe about like even the train stations. So sometimes the train stations will have built-in malls in them. So that's another good thing about Korea. So if you walk to the train stations or like the subway stations, you'll actually have like a movie theater, like a big mall, like a Yongsan. There's a station in Korea called Yongsan, and then like Wangshimi, Changyangi. They all have CGVs, malls, like Toys R Us, big stores, big shopping centers, restaurants, everything you need. So if you're lucky enough to live close to like one of those stations, you can actually literally just live in your whole block and never leave that block ever, which is kind of scary when you think about it. But if you're comfortable, you don't want to walk a lot and you just want to stay in one area, in Korea you totally could do that. Even if you lived in one of those blocks, there's housings usually right beside, I'd say, the station. So if you live right beside the station, you know, you could just step out your front door, cross the street, have a movie theater, a mall, everything. You'll get all your food, everything. If your work is close, even if you work in the station, you just go out, go to work, buy your stuff, go home. You can never leave like a one block in Korea. That's very interesting. I think maybe other big cities, like Seoul, you could probably do that. Like in New York, maybe, like San Francisco, Toronto, you could probably do that. Coming from a smaller city, it's very interesting. I had to go maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 miles to get my food, my clothes, electronics and everything. I couldn't actually just like, you know, go like one block and have a mall and everything there. I'd actually travel. But it's very interesting. There's some people here in Korea who've never actually left Seoul or Busan, the second largest city in Korea. So I actually met a couple people in Seoul. You know, they've actually just lived in Seoul their whole life, and they've gone to like southern Seoul and northern Seoul, and like maybe all around the city, but you know, they haven't really had the need or anything to, you know, to go to like Incheon, which is like super close to Seoul, even on the subway, or like even go to Busan or Daejeon. You know, they just want to stay in Seoul. So I say, to wrap it up, I'd say living in Korea, there are some challenges, but mostly once you learn like the language, the transportation, and if you're comfortable walking around and being okay learning a new culture, you'll be okay. So I'd say living in Korea is fun with some challenges. So thank you guys for watching my videos. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. You guys can ask questions about my video. You can ask questions about my life in Korea and what I do and what I plan on doing. You guys can always ask many questions. Always ask questions. Checkacola out.